Hi everybody, this is Jeff from Robotics. Last time we put together this Tronxy 3D printer and today we're going to be testing it. So stick around and let's put this thing to the test. Alright, so I have everything plugged into the Repetier host here, and I'm going to be trying to control it with that. It looks like it connected alright, so let's see if I can move some stuff around. This is Z up. And I'll just move these a little bit. And then I'll move this. Alright, so let's home it. Alright, it looks like it's homed. There is maybe about 0.5 millimeter between the actual hot end and the heat bed, so I think that should work for our test print. So I think our next step is to raise this up a little bit, turn on the heat, and try to load some filament. There are two fans on here. This fan is the part cooling fan, and then this fan over here is the heat break. This fan doesn't seem to want to turn off. I can adjust its speed a bit. I don't know if you can hear this, but there it's running at maximum. And there it's completely off. So it doesn't seem to want to turn off. But I can enable this fan at least. And I don't know if you'll be able to hear that. That's running at full speed. So at least I have one that I can enable. And I typically print in ABS, so I don't use part cooling, but I may give this a shot anyway. It seems like it wants to stay on, so if that's the way the manufacturer designed it, we're going to go with that for a little bit. And let's heat our extruder to about 190. While this is heating up, we've got our test filament here, and I have never tried to load this filament into this printer before, so let's hope it goes all right. Looks like it loads right into the top here. I'll just give that a little start. The extruder temperature is now at about 130 Celsius. It's now at 170. And now it's at 190. So let's give the extruder a turn. Ooh. Lots of crunching. There we go. Okay, so we've got a little coming out there. And let's just give it a 10 millimeters. All right. Let's give it a test print then. I noticed on our SD card that it has 3 or 4 files on there to test, so we'll give that a shot. So I believe it goes in like this. Okay, clicked in there. I'm going to go to the menu item here that says print from SD. I don't know if you can see that on here. I think we're going to try to print this. The DMY 3DP 001 40mm box. If you don't print it right away, it seems to want to stop, so I tried to show you the exact file name on here, but apparently it likes to revert back to its original menu. So we're going to try to print a 40mm box, I believe. Well, it looks like our first print turned out okay. Let's take it off the printer and give it a quick measurement and see how it looks. First visual inspection looks really good. There's some damage to the bottom of it, of course. It turned out really sturdy, and the layering looks pretty decent. So we're going to go ahead and give it a quick measurement here. Make sure that's zeroed. It should be 40 by 40 by 40. So let's try that. Okay, I have 39.41 here. .86 here. I don't know if that's readable. And the top. 40.84. So really we have a pretty good 40 by 40 by 40. This was something that came right off of the manufacturer's SD card. So their slicer settings, whatever they used, were certainly optimized for this printer. But nonetheless, it did come out pretty well. All in all, I'm pretty impressed with this. Well, we've got our PLA test done. I think it's time to try out the heat bed and test some ABS on this. So let's get it fired up and see what comes out of it. Let's get this turned on. Our printer's connected. Here goes the heat bed. We're going to heat it up to 112. While that's heating up, we'll go ahead and see if we can change the filament. I don't feel any heat coming off of the heat bed right now. I'm wondering if this is working. But our extruder is hot, so let's pull this out. The ABS. Well, our ABS is going through there finally. I needed to heat that up to about 215 C to make that work, right? But our heat bed is not heating up. The MOSFET is turned on, but I don't feel any heat here, and The Repetier host says that it's only at 20 degrees Celsius and it's not climbing very fast. It's not getting hot at all. Alright, now the heat bed seems to be climbing in temperature a little bit. It's at about 28 degrees. It is very, very slow. One other thing I'm noticing about the heat bed is that at its end stop, it's actually touching the wiring back here that could actually burn through it. I've had that happen with another printer before, so I might have to find a way to fix that as well. Well, guys, to you it's been about 1 second. To me it's been over an hour. Our current temperature on the heat bed is at 75 degrees and holding. I set it to heat up to 112. So I'm going to call this test a failure for the heat bed. Well, I thought that I would give ABS one more shot before I do my final review. The only thing I've changed is in the power supply here. And I cranked it all the way up. It is now outputting 14.04 volts. That has made the heat bed get a lot hotter, a lot faster. It's been about 10 minutes and it has reached 98 degrees. So I've set my slicer to just print a small cube and the heat bed will just stay at 98 degrees. And if that will work, I can live with that. Well, I finally got the ABS to print, and when I pulled her off, I got this test cube here, and it is not exactly what it looks like. It is horrible. It is not layer bonded at all. It is stringy and soft and not even worth measuring. It feels more like fabric than it does plastic. So it is a total loss. Can't win them all. Anyway, I think that's enough testing for now. Let's go ahead and just get right to the printer review. Well, guys, here we are. We have completed a Tronxy P802MA 3D printer, and we've tested it, and now it's time to review it. Well, first of all, I just wanted to let everybody know that this is not a sponsored review. I purchased this out of my own funding, so obviously everything here is going to be 100% honest with you, so you guys get the best information possible. So, as far as the price goes, it's really hard to beat. $180, I got it off of eBay, and it came really fast. I like that a lot. The packaging was quite nice, and with the acrylic, it looks very nice. The parts are all very decent, except for possibly the power supply, which I'll get to in a moment. And the build didn't take very long. It was about 4 hours to do, and you know, give or take your experience, I would expect something like that as well. So I decided to start my first test print with the PLA that came with it, and that was a model that was already on the SD card, and as I had mentioned, it's probably optimized for that particular printer. So we came out with this piece, which is a 40 by 40 cube with a little bit of a cylinder on the top of it, and I'm actually pretty impressed with that. That looks really good, and you can't really ask for much better print quality. I think that a few fine-tuning adjustments, and you could get something even nicer out of that. Well, then I decided to try some ABS with the printer, and that did not work so well. I couldn't get the bed heated up to temperature. In fact, I got it to about 75 and it refused to heat any hotter. So I ended up turning up the power supply to the maximum allowable voltage, which was just over 14 volts. And I finally got something off of that. But before I did that, I printed off another PLA benchy, which looks really good. And this was not off of the SD card. This was something that I got off of Thingiverse. And it looks quite nice. It has a lot of detail. In fact, you can almost see the designer's logo in the back of the benchy here, which I think with a little more fine-tuning you could probably see every exact detail of this. So I'm happy with that print. That was interfaced with the Repetier host. Well, then I turned up the voltage on the power supply and ran the heat bed at 90 degrees and the ABS at 220 degrees. And I got this horrible little test cube out of here, and I'm saving this only for historical purposes, but this is very poor, less than poor. It's horrible quality. So I'm very unhappy with this. However, I feel like in time, with more fine adjustments, you could probably get something a little better off of there. The 90-degree heat bed did work with a little bit of acetone slurry on here. I think it's just a matter of getting the temperatures right for the ABS on here, and I'm not sure why 220 didn't want to work, but apparently it didn't. Anyway, for a PLA printer, this is not a bad bargain, actually. So would I recommend this printer? Well, if this is your first time building a printer and you really just want to get your feet wet and understand a little more about 3D printing, and if you're only really interested in working with PLA, then it's not really a bad choice. Also, I do like the fact that it is a do-it-yourself printer. And if you're starting out 3D printing and you have any mechanical inclination at all, it's really, in my opinion, a better idea to do a do-it-yourself kit where you build your printer. The main reason for that is because during the assembly you get a much better feel for how the printer goes together, how it works, and if something goes wrong, it's easier to troubleshoot. That raises your experience level with the printer and allows you to adjust it and fine-tune it a little bit more. If this is a printer that you're just adding to your arsenal of printers, again, if you're working with PLA, definitely not too bad. If you're going to be using ABS quite a bit, or anything that requires a heated bed, I would put a little more research into this and possibly consider upgrading some things as well. I added the power MOSFET just to protect the main controller board, and I am certainly considering a larger power supply that can raise the temperature of the heat bed a little bit more. Also, this printer isn't enclosed, which ABS really likes enclosed printers to have better quality prints. I guess if I were to rate this printer on a scale from 1 to 10, I would probably give this about a 7.5. Mostly because of the cost and the easiness it was to assemble it, and of course the print quality when you do use PLA. It certainly loses points for not being able to print ABS right out of the box. It does have a bit of wobble in the axis. It's not 100% sturdy. So it is something that you would need to modify if you wanted to consistently print nice perfect prints with. Anyway guys, that is my official review. Check back later. I will almost certainly be doing some type of upgrade or update to this printer, and when I do, you guys will be the first to know. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you hated it and you think I need to stop talking about 3D printing, give me a thumbs down. Either way, subscribe to my channel and check back often to see what else is new and what's coming about. And I really appreciate you leave any type of feedback in the comments to let me know exactly what you're thinking. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. That's all for now.